Every Who down in Who Newville liked the holidays a ton. But where to get great prices on gifts, they had no idea. None. They searched and they searched for great gifts under $25. Gifts for spouses and friends and even their toddlers. When suddenly one Who shouted, Walmart has what you want, knowing they have Lego, Tree Hut, and low prices to flaunt. So they enjoy the holiday season as Who's often do. Cheering and shouting, Walmart has incredible gifts. Who knew? Find gifts they'll love under $25 at Walmart.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Hi, I'm here to pick up my son Milo.
There's no Milo here.
Who picked up my son from school?
Streaming only on Peacock.
I'm gonna need the name of everyone that could have a connection.
You don't understand. It was just the 5 of us.
So this was all planned.
What are you gonna do?
I will do whatever it takes to get my son back.
I honestly didn't see this coming. These nice people killing each other.
All Her Fault. A new series streaming now only on Peacock.
Meet the computer you can talk to. With Copilot on Windows, working, creating, and collaborating is as easy as talking. Got writer's block? Share your screen with Copilot Vision to help spark inspiration, and use Copilot Voice to have a conversation and brainstorm ideas. Or maybe you need some tech help. With Copilot Vision, Copilot sees what you see. Let Copilot talk you through step-by-step guidance so you can master new apps, games, and skills faster. Try now at windows.com/Copilot.
Purina believes no one should have to make the impossible choice between their own safety and their pets. But nearly half of domestic abuse survivors delay leaving because they can't bring their pets with them. Through the Purple Leash Project, Purina is helping create more pet-friendly domestic violence shelters so survivors and their pets can escape and heal together. Visit Purina.com/purple to learn more.
Breaking news are happening now.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Reality Flash. My name is Mike Bloom, and I'm here to bring you the flashiest news in the wild world of reality TV. Today, RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars is back for its landmark 10th season, and in honor of the occasion, to quote a previous All-Stars queen, I guess there's room for everybody. We're going to be breaking down the cast, the twist, and everything we know so far about the Drag Race spinoff. But first, you know I would never be one to fish for likes, to reference the aforementioned queen, straight up tilapia in terms of the fishiness going on there. But I am always looking for subs and tips. So be sure you subscribe to the podcast at therealityflash.com. And while you're there, leave a rating, leave a review while you're there, lipstick message on the internet mirror. And of course, if you have anything that you find out there in the reality TV news world that you want me to talk about here on the Reality Flash, no spam, no solicitations here, just tips at therealityflash.com. Again, just tips at therealityflash.com. Now, of course, I cannot be alone in sitting here and looking at a brand new quote-unquote group of queens in front of us, considering that these are all quite familiar faces, from those back in the early days of RuPaul's Drag Race to a very, very recent face. And so we got to bring in a consummate expert here to let us know everything we need to know about this supersized group of queens. And I am so happy to welcome in one of the heads of our fantastic coverage of RuPaul's Drag Race here on WeKnowRealityTV.com. It is the one, the only Beth Dixon.
Hello. Or I should say hello, hello, hello.
Yeah, or hi.
Hi. Yes, exactly. You said the very familiar faces, but I know I texted this to you. I feel like this cast kind of puts the who's who into who's that. And in the quote, another reality or another queen from a previous All-Star season, this really is RuPaul's Drag Race Some Stars. So I am excited to break it down because there are people that, regardless if we are like, who's that, I think have a lot to offer And especially when these queens come back from All Stars, I feel like they're so hungry for it. They know what to expect for the most part. They're sometimes a little richer and they can bring in some nicer outfits and that kind of thing. There's more connections. They've traveled. So I'm excited to break it all down with you and maybe do a little speculating as to what's going on this season.
Yeah, because there is a lot. Not only do we have a brand new season, but we have a brand new way of doing All-Stars. So first off, let's just lay out the facts. We know that RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars coming to Paramount Plus, which has been basically its home since season 6, I want to say.
Yes.
On May 9th, will be airing weekly, so be sure to check that out. Of course, as is the case with All-Stars, a cast of all returning queens. And Drag Race All-Stars, now, Beth, I will preface this throughout this podcast by saying, it's been a bit out of the game when it comes to covering Drag Race, so please feel free to put words in my mouth, as we're talking about a community that and a set of queens that are more than happy to have things put in their mouth when it comes to, if I'm speaking on a turn about Drag Race history especially. But All-Stars has been going through a lot in the past few years.
Yeah.
All-Stars 6 really felt like the last of that really significant portion of steadiness when it comes from a production perspective of okay, we did have stuff with queens eliminating each other. There was a Redemption Island twist in season 6. But after that, we really have gone with basically a different looking All-Stars every single year. Of course, season 7 was our Winners at War, our all-winner season, also a non-elimination season, the first time in Drag Race history where they did a season where there were no eliminations. Then we had season 8, which only rivals this season in terms of just kind of the WTF levels of casting there. And while it was a bit more of a typical Drag Race season, it was maybe poking at one of the larger problems when it comes to casting All-Stars, which is okay, how much are queens going to want to commit? Can you bring in the legends to come back and play if the legends don't necessarily want to do it for a variety of reasons? So then they decided, okay, what if we change the format to get the legends back? And so we got season 9, which was once again a non-elimination season. And so I'll say that the past few seasons have not been incredibly well received. I think season 7 was well hailed, understandably so. 8 and 9, I think some would call, some of the weakest installments of All-Stars. And so here we go yet again, going back to the drawing board. So before we get into what we know about the format proper, take the temperature right now of the All-Stars franchise. Does it feel like a ship without a rudder?
What's so interesting is that I think everybody kind of rolls our eyes when it comes to the All-Star seasons. But then when they're on in front of our face, we're like, it is kind of cool to see these people back. It is kind of cool to see them do this. And at the core of what Drag Race is, at the end of the day, it is them being drag queens on television, having to do ridiculous challenges, fabulous runways, and giving us some tea, spilling the tea, being a little shady towards each other. And that is what we're watching for, right? So I think that those of us who are going to watch or know that we're going to get served that at the bare minimum. Now, to the levels of the drama that we get, that seems to be different from season to season. For a season like season 7, there really wasn't, or All-Star 7, there wasn't any drama, really. It was oh, you blocked me. That was the worst drama, but nobody went home, right? So for the most part, we got to have that as a love fest and a real celebration of the talents that those winners had, which I think everybody loved. Like you said, season 8, I felt really disconnected for people. It came off of this high of all winners, and then it also had quite a few people who had gone out early in their seasons, and it didn't feel like a good heralding season to come after an all winners one. Then you had All-Stars 9, like you said, and I felt yes, there were more queens that had maybe more legendary status coming back, or those that had just absolutely grown to a place that nobody else has done. When I think of the people like Plastique, right? Plastique Tiara has the largest social media following worldwide. And she is somebody that, while she didn't do well on her season, coming back, this was a real showcase of everything that she could do and the money that she's been able to bring in to do it. So I feel like we're at a point right now where All-Stars has always been a bumpy journey. The first season is widely considered the worst season of Drag Race of all time, although I would argue that there are other ones because there are at least iconic moments and iconic queens in that season. Season 2 is widely considered to be maybe the best season of I was like, went right back in the work mode. I almost said St. Lawrence University. Season 2 of St. Lawrence University. Oh my goodness. We are recording this in the middle of my workday, and I had a time, and I don't know what's going on in my brain.
This is the ultimate form of severance right here. Try to divorce your mind and throw yourself into the world of drag.
Oh my goodness. That, you know what though? I'd pay for that one. That's something that's worth paying for. Let's do Severance Drag Edition. That'd be amazing.
I mean, yeah, talk about your in drag and out of drag persona. It's like the ultimate form of trade.
Yeah. Trade in so many ways.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So we have, and then All Stars 3 is probably one of the most controversial seasons of all time.
True.
But now, in like looking retrospectively, a lot of people are like much higher on it than they were when it was airing in the subsequent couple of years. I think All Stars 4 was pretty solid. All Stars 5 we felt like was predictable. All Stars 6 was not predictable, and it had additional elements to it that were a little different from what we've seen from 2 through 4. So we've had this kind of roller coaster where it feels like almost every other season to a certain extent is either widely loved or widely hated. But at the same time, I think we all just keep coming back because it is, at the end of the day, quality television. I will admit, I am in my mid-30s now. I have nowhere near the encyclopedic knowledge that I felt like I used to have. I feel like I drop facts and such. When it comes to All Stars 8 and 9, who are the most recent ones, I still will have moments where I go, what the hell happened? Because I don't remember. Didn't have the staying power. So I'm thinking that the way that we're seeing the format changes come together for this season for All Stars 10 of what we imagine is going to be, at least is going to have some staying power. Let's see if it's widely received in a positive way.
So let's get into said format because we are once again breaking from tradition, Beth. We're going tournament style in a manner of speaking. So 18 queens divided into 3 groups of 6. And no, this is not the Survivor Drag Edition that so many of us are trying to manifest out there in the universe, even though it looks like it. We'll see. Maybe there is one sort of disaster group that we'll talk about as we go through the colors here. But essentially, this is more so akin to the structure used in another Wednesday night reality show on The Masked Singer. The Masked Singer is also a series that throughout its 13 seasons has really done a lot of different ways of eliminating contestants, grouping contestants. The format they've sort of settled in is that everybody starts within one of 3 groups. And essentially, the groups compete within themselves to winnow down to a certain number, be it either 1 or 2 contestants. And then at one point, there is, for lack of a better term, a merge, where all of these surviving contestants merge together into one group, and then they just keep getting eliminated until there is one victor. And that's what we're getting here in Drag Race. It's the Draxed Singer, if you will, where we have 3 groups of 6. We are going to essentially, I believe, winnow down from, not Willow Pill, from 6 to, I believe, 3 from each group. And then the final 3 from each group, so 9 queens total, will then merge together for the final phase of the game. And even when there was some speculation about this format, Beth, to your earlier point, I got a bit of a mixed response. So give me your response to it.
So here's my thoughts, okay? I think that we have, when you look at the earlier seasons, we are literally seeing some of the last couple of queens who have not been on an all-star season. I think literally we have the one queen who hasn't been on an all-star season from season 2, besides the winner who will never be invited back. And season 3, we've had quite a few people. Season 1, even though we don't have a season 1 representative in this cast, we have not. We've seen pretty much everybody who still does drag in all from season 1. And I mean the regular seasons, not the all-star seasons. So we see some people coming who a lot of more recent people are not going to be as familiar with and maybe didn't do as well as they would have liked in their original season. So we have a lot of reintroductions that are going to happen. I think that this format is going to be helpful because at least with season All-Stars 8, one of the things that I do think was widely liked was the fact that eliminated queens were able to show off what their runway would have been for that episode.
Right.
And they always aired it after the episode. So you would get a special portion of when the eliminated queens, when they were eliminated, they actually got to put up all of their different drags for the rest of the runways of what would have happened for that season, walk down the runway, and then they showed that footage when the end of the episode happened so that we could all vote at home for who we felt like deserved a special prize, a special additional crown, essentially. I think that people liked that because we had a lot of queens in that season who had been out early or were not maybe the people on the top of the mind or the tip of the tongue when you think All-Star, right? And it gives people who are spending tens of thousands of dollars on outfits and designers and everything an opportunity to showcase not only the designers' work, but also what they've been working towards and what their drag looks like. So this format, I immediately think, is going to at least satiate the ability to say, hey, there's some people that need to be reintroduced. There's some people who didn't do well on their seasons that are coming back, who need a reintroduction. And we are not, at this point, potentially confident that they're just going to come out and like bulldoze the competition. Now, that said, Mike, there is somebody who came back in an all-star season that nobody expected to be the winner who won. And I would say that was season All-Star 6 with Sonique Love, Kylie Love. And Kylie was on season 2 and kind of went in like the beginning middle of the season. So I'm excited to potentially be surprised. Maybe it isn't like an All-Stars 5 where we feel like we know who those 3 queens are going to be in each different group. Hopefully we get some surprises. And that is something that I feel like we can bank on with this format.
Yeah. So I have a lot of thoughts as well. And I think, of course, as with any format, there are pros and there are cons, even though they're all pros out here. So the pros for me in terms of this format is that I think, we're going to get into this cast. It is a wide-ranging group of people, but I think that there are certainly some names that have been on a lot of people's wish lists for a while. And my headcanon is that they would not have gotten on, a regular All-Star season, either due to the time commitment, the financial commitment. To your point, there is this notable risk of like, I'm going to spend thousands of dollars on my outfits and maybe on my face and body, and only to get voted out first. Like, is it really worth the investment there? So this at least makes it feel like less of a time commitment, and then might allow more legendary, bigger names to come back. I'm thinking about the last podcast I did on Australian Survivor, AU versus the World, which is a very similar thing of like, to be candid, I don't know if you're getting Parvati and Tony and Suri out there for a 40-plus day game. So I think when it comes to the poppiness of this cast, again, we're going to get into them, and they certainly run the gamut of people coming back for their 4th time versus, to your point, like the last remaining, Infinity Stone in the gauntlet from season 2 coming back. So it's provided a really nice wide range of queens that makes me really excited. And even if they do get eliminated early, I don't think it also precludes them from appearing in future All-Star seasons, considering that we're going to talk about somebody who was just on All-Stars 9, who is now back from All-Stars 10. We're going to talk about somebody who did their season of Drag Race that hadn't even aired yet and was competing on All-Stars 10. We're going to talk about people who competed 3 or 4 times in the past and are now on All-Stars 10. So it's depending on if they want to pursue this format moving forward. I don't think even an early boot in this case feels like a net loss for these queens. On the other hand, I think what this unfortunately comes at the cost of is, you mentioned, falling in love with Kylie in All-Star 6 and the great surprises that can come with like, hey, bringing these queens back and just the appeal of All-Stars, which is like just watching these really talented people get to showcase themselves again in a national streaming setting. The downside of this format is that we're going to get at most, 6 episodes out of the queens that make it the farthest here, because we're going to be doing 3 episodes per, group, and then assumingly probably 3 episodes at the end, maybe 3, 4, 5 episodes. And so we're not necessarily getting a full season of the winning queens like we would in even a regular All-Stars season. So it feels a little almost like exhibition matchy there, right? It quite literally is a tournament. And so I'm hoping that while it is going to be a distilled version in terms of episode count for these queens appearances, it's still a good taste.
The other part of this too is that we've had a wide range of how many queens come back normally, and this is by far the largest cast that's ever been. So on the one hand, it's really great because we're like, yay! But if they all were competing and they brought this huge cast back and in the same episodes, they're going to get more camera time actually being in these smaller groups. But that said, if they did it as one group, there's no way that they're bringing back 18 people at one time. For a long time, it was 8. It was 8 queens for the longest time. And then we got to 10. And then we got to 12 queens. And then we got to, and just like the regular seasons were like at 8. And then it was at 10 and 12. And then it was like season 15 is going to have 16 queens. And I was like, why didn't you say that for season 16? But the whole point being is that we have been growing these casts. And I think that there is a social aspect to this that has nothing to do with television and everything to do with at a time where the LGBTQIA+, especially trans people, are being attacked, and drag queens play an important role in that representation and are obviously also getting attacked politically and legally. Yeah. This is a really great opportunity to go, well, why put 8 people on television when we can put another 10 who already are named recognition, but also represent other states that really desperately need to hear representation from their state on national television. So yeah, we're going to see a lot of, especially in the South, we're going to see a lot of queens represented on this season. And so I kind of like take the step back because at the end of the day, even though Drag Race is a quote unquote mainstream version of drag, which is counterculture anyway, I love that we are saying in 2025 under this administration, we are resisting, and we are resisting by pure putting our faces in your television's face. And I love it.
Yeah. One more thing before we get into the queens proper. Yeah. Do we know if the episodes themselves will be formatted like regular Drag Race episodes? Is the assumption that, each one of these groups of 6 will get like a maxi challenge every episode with a runway and then a bottom 2 and a lip sync? Or are we anticipating a different format considering how small and contained each of these groups are?
That's what I don't know. And I'm going to be honest. I'm sure the tea is out there. I'm sure if you went to any of those YouTube videos that just have like the generic EDM in the background and they do the spoiler. Because I'll admit, before I was a podcaster on RHAP, we know reality TV, I would absolutely look at those and spoil myself on the season. And I'm so bad. And the one season the season that made me stop doing that was All Stars 3 because I got spoiled about Ben de la Creme. And I would have loved watching that and just having the reaction. So that literally stopped me. After All Stars 3, I stopped looking at the spoilers and such. So I'm sure that if all of you are out there looking for spoilers, you find them. I don't know. I have a feeling it could either feel like a triple eviction episode every episode for those, in Big Brother.
Oops, all Lollapaloozas.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. A whole episode to that, every single week would be crazy. But also I kind of would live for like a mini season like that. That's just like bring back all the best lip sync assassins. And it's just like a lip sync competition, because at the end of the day, this is what most people do as their main source of income in drag. Not everybody, but most. I just think I think that what we will likely see is at least the first 3 episodes are spotlighting the 3 different groups and like all of them as a whole, and making sure that everybody has a more equal access to being on television and having confessionals and being reintroduced. I think it would feel very rushed and quite awful to have all 18 trying to be fit into the first episodes, right? So I have a feeling that the first 3 episodes, in the very least, one is going to be about, with the purple group, one with the orange group, and then one with the pink group. I have a feeling it will be like that. And then the 4th episode, maybe that's when we start to see, everybody's doing the challenges and everybody's having a runway, and maybe they get to that. I could see it being like you had kind of said before. Maybe it is 3 episodes with each group, in which case I wonder from like a viewer perspective, do you watch the purple group for 3 weeks straight and then you watch the orange group for 3 weeks straight?
That's what Matt Singer has done, is they've sort of defaulted to just like 3 weeks of one group, 3 weeks of another group. And that comes with some benefits and drawbacks. Again, it makes viewers feel a little less scattered of like, okay, now we're going to this group, now we're going back to this other group. On the other hand, the top 3 queens from group 1 are going to have a full like 6 weeks off before they appear in our faces again.
So I could see it being one group, 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 like, you know what I mean? And they might do it as, you know, pink, orange, purple, pink, orange, purple, pink, orange, purple, like that. Or I could see them go pink, orange, purple, purple, orange, pink, like a snake draft or something. So I have no idea how this will work out. I hope that it's actually somewhat in that format, because I think that it would give, I don't know, I think it's easier to follow a storyline that way. But I also think, like, you know, I would, like you said, I would feel really bad if you're in the first group and you don't get aired for 6 weeks. And then it's almost a little bit of like recency bias of the people who were closer. Then you go, oh, well, honestly, like, I don't know, I liked this group better, but you kind of forgot about the dynamics of the group before. So I don't know. I think, you know, Drag Race people in particular, we'll go back and watch if we need to. You know, this is a rewatchable program, in the words of the way that Trixie says it, program. So yeah, no, I'm excited. I don't know how this will work out. I don't know how they'll air it. But the way that I would say that probably makes the most sense is to do the one group for 3 weeks, one group for 3 weeks, one group for 3 weeks.
Hello, I'm Diane Morgan. If you know who I am, you know who I am. If you don't, who cares? I'm here to explain Italian Time, a holiday phenomenon where Italians throw away their clocks and gather for eternity with San Pellegrino. I've been at this party so long that I've eaten 5 courses, hugged someone's grandma twice, and been offered a job in the family restaurant. So this holiday season, make sure to bring enough San Pellegrino to last you through the meal, the after meal, and the entire goodbye ritual. San Pellegrino, holiday on Italian Time.
Kraft mac and cheese is the best thing ever. It's even better than pop music. You look just as natural enjoying us at age 13 as you do 55. Kraft mac and cheese. Best thing ever.
Oh, Hilton stay, oh, Hilton stay. Your beds are soft and cozy. No lumpy couch, no stiff futon, no shower line at crack of dawn. Oh, Hilton stay, oh, Hilton stay.
When you want holiday comfort you can count on, it matters where you stay. Enjoy comfortable rooms and friendly service when you stay with Hilton instead. Save up to 25% this season when you book with Hilton. Hilton for the stay. Terms apply.
This episode is brought to you by McAfee.
Swimsuit, passport, phone with VPN activated.
VPN?
Cell phone service is going to be spotty on vacation, so we'll be using public Wi-Fi.
Sounds sketchy.
Exactly. The networks can leave your personal info, like credit card numbers, exposed to hackers.
McAfee's secure VPN lets you browse and bank safely from wherever, whenever. Learn more at McAfee.com/online protection.
Abercrombie Kids is bringing the cheer all holiday season. And winter break means it's time for new outfits that are both festive and comfy. The last thing they need? New cozy coats for every occasion. Celebrate the season with Abercrombie Kids in the app, online, and in stores.
Well, let's talk about the groups as well. So the way we're going to do this is I got a nice little slideshow up. We'll talk, I think we'll go orange, then pink, then purple in alphabetical order. And we'll just do a quick little elevator pitch, Beth, on who these queens are, what you may remember them from, etc., etc. And listen, you talk about who might prevail in Oops All Lip Sync season. Let's talk about it. A lip sync assassin herself. We're starting off with the orange group and Aja from season 9 and All Stars 3, who most recently appeared as a lip sync assassin in All Stars 8.
Exactly. And Aja is a very interesting character. You know, Aja has had some of the most iconic Drag Race moments, including, you know, her moment of with Valentina. Oh my God, I'm like literally
You're
dying.
perfect. You're beautiful. So, you look like a Melinda Evangelista.
Oh, thank you, Mike. I appreciate. Oh, wait, no, you're quoting. But I love Aja so much because Aja is not afraid to say what is on her mind. When she was on the reunion for for season 9, which a lot of people felt was a little lackluster in drama, and it was a little too best friends race. And then it came to the reunion, and quite frankly, Aja was the one that said, nope, let's start the shitting on Valentina winning Miss Congeniality and being very open on it. And like all of a sudden that season was like, oh, this is more iconic than ever. And Aja's a big reason for that. We see a glow up and them come back for All Stars 3, win the first episode with the incredible death drop off of a box and these incredible different reveals, really kind of showcasing not just the growth, but like a sense of confidence that I think that Aja was missing in season 9. I think Aja came in with is an early, like a preseason favorite to season 9. And then I think that they felt themselves like that as well. And then they got there and it didn't pan out the way they wanted. So they came back in All Stars 3 and killed it. And I argue were harshly and unfairly judged by the judges and went home far too early. I think that they could have made it a real contention for the crown if there weren't necessarily favorites, but that is what it is. So seeing Aja come back after taking a break from drag and really being involved in the ball scene has been, I think, something that will be really showcased in Aja's drag coming back. Aja has also come out as trans since her last season and is very open about her transition journey on social media. And it's just been really fun to celebrate her as she showcases all of her talents and what she's got going on for her identities and life. And I think that that's really important to be visible. So I think that her being on the show is going to bring some drama. She's going to bring some talent. And I think that she has a unique sense of fashion that's going to be beautiful. You look at this promo picture, this is exactly the kind of thing I imagine from her, something that is a take on a classic look. And I think that she is going to be I'm very, very excited for her. I'm very much rooting for Aja. I am very biased. So I will be rooting for her as a Brooklyn sister.
All right, let's go from bias to Bosco. Let's talk about Bosco from season 14. One of the many queens who technically got eliminated, but then got brought back, including one of them on this very All-Star season as well.
Yes, we have. That's almost like a theme for for some of the reaping, so to say, of the queens that they chose. Bosco is another doll coming back. So we have Bosco, who is in the famous season 14, where everybody ended up identifying as trans at the either during the season or by the time the reunion came, and we got to have this wonderful representation of people just sharing their journeys, which is so intimate, and sharing that with everybody. And I think that this is so powerful. Bosco, in my opinion, has always been kind of known as like this unique fashion queen. I think Bosco really struggled in some of the more acting challenges, even though I felt like the chops were there. I think the lack of confidence was an issue for her on her season. She has a unique sense of style that I love, and I'm excited to see. Again, you could see it well represented in her promo photo, a sense of high fashion with a little camp twist on it. And I think that, again, when you're seeing any of these queens come back who have been on a personal transition journey, especially with a gender identity, when they come back and they're able to be their full authentic selves, both in and out of drag, I think that adds a level of confidence in what they are doing and who they are that is very infectious and something you can't put your finger on. So I have a feeling Bosco is going to be one to watch, and I'm very excited to see what she does.
All right, let's move staying on, I suppose, season 14 here. We have one of Bosco's sisters, Deja Sky. Very excited for Deja. Of course, the survivor, we talk about Lollapalooza, of course, the disaster that was that Snatch game produced arguably the very first one. And Deja was the lone sole survivor who was immune from it due to apparently having the only good solitary Snatch game performance. I think speaks to Deja's overall steadiness when it came to her time in the competition.
I think that that's a really good way to paint her, is steady. I don't think that a lot of people, when they think of season 14, immediately think of Deja. And I think that this is going to be a great way for her to kind of rewrite her impact on that season. Yes, there were larger storylines and personalities than her own. She was very much seen as like a very pleasant, positive queen, loves, being a little campy, but she also, loves having some her own little fashion moments and such too. She clearly has the comedy chops with being the only person in Snatch Game who did well. She did play Lil Jon, so we know that she's willing to look outside of the box and do that. And the thing about it too is if you go back, I do think that people are really quick to be like, well, if Deja was in a season with people who actually did Drag Race or Snatch Game really well, I don't even think that she would have won. Maybe. The best thing is we don't have to speculate that because she was able to have nobody giving her anything and still be shining and feeding off of the people around her and volleying with RuPaul. And so if you can do that in the Snatch Game when everybody else around you is drowning, I have a feeling this format is actually going to really, really benefit her. And so I'm really excited to see her. She's somebody that I just always enjoyed seeing on the television. And she has like the most infectious smile. So I'm excited to see what Deja can come back and say, go back and watch season 14 and tell me that to my face because I was great.
Now, one of the interesting things about this season in particular is that we've got some pre-existing connections. Beth, they know each other, and we're not obviously the Drag Race community is small but ever growing. It's not just that. We've got a couple of familial connections on this season. We mentioned Bosco. Let's talk about her drag sister, who did not exactly perform as up to snuff as Bosco in season 15, but she's bringing the heat as she's making some ice. Formerly known as Irene Dubois, it's Irene the Alien from season 15, right? The first boot, Pork Chop?
Yes. I've been saying this since her boot and the first elimination of season 15, which in my opinion, season 15, I feel like Drag Race every 3 seasons or so has a different turnover and feeling, right? Like the first 3 seasons have that kind of gritty, but it was really queens being bitchy at each other. Awesome. We love it, right? Like that was like the prime reality television. And it was also like go to the mall and buy something from Claire's and you're good kind of thing. And like Forever 21 moving forward 10 years where how dare you go to H&M and not stone something, right? So it's like, meanwhile, like Tatiana looked like she just came out of Wet Seal. So
exactly. Yeah.
Then you have like all of these different, like next 3 seasons are always have like a different feel. I felt like Irene just didn't connect with her comedy routine, but has all the makings to legitimately win a season. Like when she came out and for season 15, I literally was like, she could go all the way to the end. I think we all kind of figured that Sasha Colby was going to win season 15, which spoiler alert, she did. I really felt like Irene was going to provide like kind of like what ended up being mistress in that competition. Somebody who was really fierce in different ways from Sasha. You cannot say that Irene doesn't have immaculate painting skills, doesn't have a really out of this world idea.
She's an alien.
Out of the box, out of the world concept. She's a high concept queen. She's highly technical. At the same time, I just think, quite honestly, if she had done that water routine in a club when I was like had a few drinks or had dropped an edible or something, like I would have been throwing money at her because I would have thought it was so ridiculous and stupid.
And then going to the bathroom because she would have made you really want to pee after making all that water.
Exactly. I would have been like, oh, darn, I have to break the seal. But she is somebody that I've legitimately said is a contender for the crown. And in my opinion, is the best queen to have ever been eliminated first in a regular season. So I am hardcore rooting for her. The other reason why I'm rooting for her, she is a drag queen who doesn't give a shit. She will say what she wants. She will be shady. And she's also the type of person that will be shady to people that she likes. And that is kind of what drag queens do. So I think she's going to be entertaining in the confessionals. She's going to bring some really interesting ideas to the competition. And I just hope that they land with RuPaul, the judges this time, and that we really get to see her. I think that she's one of the few, if not the only first eliminated queen that I would ever say has the potential to win a crown. And I definitely think she could.
Well, let's go from an early boot to, I would say, an early favorite in their season. Season 13's Olivia Lux. I remember season 13, well, Beth, it was sort of the precursor to 14 in terms of like weird production shenanigans. It was COVID, much like we talked about with the All-Stars problem. They wanted to keep queens around as long as possible. And Olivia was crushing it at the beginning of the season. And then kind of just fell apart by the end, as she was, I believe, was she the last queen eliminated before the finale?
Yes, she did place 5th. And so Olivia was somebody that I felt like had connected really well on like a empathy, sympathetic, nicety kind of level with the audience. But after, like you said, doing relatively well and being more highly placed in the beginning of the season, she just kind of coasted in terms of track record. It just kind of ended up being that there were other queens who I think were better in almost all the categories. So like you had someone like Gottmik, who was going to be the fashion person. And Olivia had a good sense of fashion, had some ideas that were like, I'll always remember her having kind of like the like Mozart or the kind of what am I trying to say? Like, yeah, like the Mozart, Amadeus Mozart, like kind of inspired look. And I was like, who would come up with that? That's brilliant. And that's great. I definitely think that there was like, okay, so Gottmik was the fashion person. Candy was like the charisma out the wazoo and like was a louder personality and was funny and those kind of things. You had, oh my God, I'm like blanking on the people for that season. Willow Pill was 13.
Yeah, but this is Simone.
Simone, duh. Oh my God, I'm sitting there. I'm like, geez, everyone's listening. They're like, this girl podcast about Drag Race. Sorry.
To be fair, the host of the show forgot Jinx Monsoon's name to her face. So you're just trying to get honestly, on her level.
I'm just trying to replicate the icon that is RuPaul. So, but yeah, Simone, obviously, I mean, Simone, I felt like that was a march to the end for her to win. She had it all, you know, and I just felt like Olivia just fell a little bit in the shadows of like fashion, acting, comedy, camp, whatever. And it wasn't that she did poorly. It's just that the other queens did more strongly, I guess, in the competition. So I'm excited to see her come back. Obviously, she's coming back with a very snatched body. Something that we didn't really see from her on her season is something like this look that we see here, which is very revealing in a lot of very fun, beautiful ways. And that was not something that I imagined with Olivia. So when I saw this promo pic, I was like, oh, you better come through. This is different for you. I love this. So I'm excited to see what she brings because I know she's got the chops. I just want to see her come in and kill it. She is a New York-based queen as well. So of course I got to root for the New York girls.
All right. Finishing out the orange group, an early season queen and an early boot at that. But look, if there was ever a time to rise from the ashes, it's here. And that would be appropriate for Phoenix, the second boot, I believe, from season 3.
She is, to me, this is what I'm very excited about. Okay. We've got someone in Phoenix who hasn't been on since 2011. So it's been 14 years since her season aired. She also has a familiar connection in another group of another queen who's been very, who hasn't been here since season 2. So I'm going to do spoiler alert. She is the drag daughter of Nicole Paige Brooks.
Yeah, they separated them.
And they separated them into groups, which I do think makes a lot of sense. But it's kind of fascinating. You know, I think a lot of people are going to forget about that. Phoenix walking into the workroom for the first time and having the same exact outfit is like incredible. It's like, that's an iconic moment, right? And so even in those moments where she's like an early out queen, I think that she's got a lot to prove. She's got a reintroduction to make. And any of those queens that come from season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, I know that they are unwilling to leave the tongue at home. You know, they are going to bring it. They're going to read Girls to Filth. They're going to say, you know, when I was on television, we didn't give a shit about social media. And so why would I now? They're already attacking us out there. I might as well just fuel the fire, baby, because this is who I am. And I think that that is an unapologetic nature that Phoenix will bring to the competition. You know, I think she had one of my favorite quotes, which was, I broke my Dior glasses, so I better win this competition. It's like one of those throwaway lines that when you have such other quotable people in a season of boogers and all that kind of stuff, like
Heathers.
The Heathers and the boogers, and you've got all of these, like, you know, you have the Shangelas of the world and Manilas and Rajas and all this stuff. That's a throwaway line that nobody will remember, but I have always remembered it because I just thought it was so ridiculous. Like, I broke my Dior glasses, so I have to win this competition. So I'm excited to see what she brings. I haven't really paid attention to what Phoenix is up to and what she's doing. They do come from Georgia, I believe, just like Nicole Paige Brooks, maybe. Which, of course, Nicole Paige Brooks' full name is Nicole Paige Brooks from Atlanta, Georgia. So I imagine that Phoenix also comes there. I just don't know if she lives there currently.
Yeah, so we shall see if they'll find the opportunity to merge. This is a little, we get to see both sides of like the blood versus water dynamic, right? And now we have Bosco and Irene, who are sisters, playing together. Then you have Phoenix and Nicole, who are mother and daughter, separated in different groups. So we shall see if they will make the next stage together. And let's move on to our next stage and talk about the pink group. Group number 2. Now we talk about some very recent faces, and here is somebody who's making us a layover, basically, from All-Stars 9 into All-Stars 10. You could fit her in your carry-on if you want to. It is Georges. I'm doing for those that are listening, I'm trying to do the hit Ilana Grazer gif that basically is a boomerang of Georges somehow being able to reverse her own footage in the moment. Season 14's Georges.
Georges is the consummate RuPaul favorite, and I don't mean that to take away from her talents and what she brings, because I would argue that in All-Stars 9, she was just absolutely dominating in so many ways. I will never forget her being the Megan doll and dancing. That is doing she did it better than the CGI thing. It was just incredible. So she is somebody that I know is, when I think of people who are really in tune with their body and what they are doing, but don't necessarily have training in dancing. And I don't know if she does. I don't think that she's had proper dance training or movement training. I think that she's just somebody that's knows what she's doing. And can, I don't know. I think that she's just so in tune with her body in that way and how to make it, a vision and how to portray an idea. And I think that she's somebody that we are seeing stronger looks, which was important because I felt like there were some questionable wins that she had for fashion of constructed looks, maybe we'll say, in season 14. But I definitely felt like All-Stars 9 last year showed us a tremendous growth in only a short amount of time. Well, here's an even shorter amount of time. Somebody that we know RuPaul loves. We do have, I think, 3, maybe 4 returning people from All-Star seasons. So it's nice to have somebody who came from the most recent season and was in a different kind of format than what we had seen before. A reminder, too, that we didn't mention is that All-Stars 9 was also kind of like a charity season, and that they gave all these queens a budget for their clothes, which they could choose to go above or not, and that they were all kind of competing for money for charity. So Georges, I think, was great, now that I can do this competition, if they ever invite me back, which RuPaul will always love me back, I want to win for money. I want to win for me, and I don't blame her for that. That's great. So I want to see her come out here. I want to see more confidence. I want to see her really get into, I think what betrays her at the end of the day is her own confidence of how to manipulate her voice and her facial expressions. So if she can bring the confidence she has with how to move her body to her face and to her voice, she's going to be unstoppable.
All right. Well, let's stay on the season 14 train, and there'll be a couple more stops we're making on that particular line over the course of this. So let's talk about not Sasha Colby, but her predecessor on Drag Race. So I believe it is her daughter in real life, Carrie Colby.
Carrie Colby, yes, the daughter of Sasha Colby and the proclaimed mother of all other trans women for season 14. Everybody called her the Thanos, and that she was the one that was collecting all the trans dolls as, gemstones in the gauntlet, so to say. And so Carrie came into season 14 as a vision in the trans pride colors into her workroom. This was the season before Sasha Colby was on. This was basically the first time Drag Race had ever mentioned Sasha Colby, which is wild because if anybody pays attention to drag outside of this, Sasha's always been a big name for years. So Carrie Colby walks in, and when she says, "I'm the daughter of a Miss Continental winner," and they said, "Who's that?" And she said, "Sasha Colby." They're all like, "Ah!" And they all die. Now, Carrie maybe didn't bring it to the competition in the way that Sasha does, but I truly do think a lot of that had to do, again, with confidence. Sasha just oozes confidence in everything that she does in a way that is just special. And I think Carrie, after watching Sasha and after maybe getting some tips and tricks and having some time on a bigger platform, I have a feeling is going to come back and be able to bring some of that Colby family special recipe of confidence to the competition. I love that we're seeing different kinds of looks from her. I think she is somebody that always wants to look drop dead gorgeous. I'm going to put it out there. She is drop dead gorgeous. In and out of the drag.
Accomplished.
I have such a crush on Carrie Colby. I think that she looks so beautiful. I will absolutely be rooting for her. Carrie is a fellow Leo, so I'm here looking at you like, let's go. So I'm excited to see what she brings to this and see if she can find a way to move out of the Sasha Colby shadow and just be her own amazing self.
All right. Beth, this is a rarity in Drag Race, let alone on reality TV, because the next person we're talking about is someone that you were talking about only a couple of weeks ago, because she is from the most recently wrapped season of Drag Race, season 17. Lydia Butthole Collins, but much like a butthole, we have not seen the end of her on season 17, because, and this is such an odd comparison, Beth, this is the Russell Hantz in Heroes vs. Villains of Drag Race season 10, because her season had not yet aired by the time that she had gone out on All Stars. In fact, I believe the T-checkers have said that Lydia had roughly 4 to 5 days between coming back from season 17 and getting ready, turning right back around, going out to LA for All Stars 10.
I did not know that bit, and that is even more impressive. If I remember correctly, I think the only 2 other queens where this has happened is going to be fellow castmate Ginger and Katya, whose season of season 7 had not aired when they filmed All Stars 2, or had barely, like, they'd finished filming it, obviously. But it
That'd be wild
aired.
if they didn't. They're like,
could you imagine? They're like, we're going to put you on All Stars before we put you on a. But I feel like they had just finished wrapping it, and it was gonna be airing later that year. Like, they literally only had like a month or something in between when they wrapped, and I remember that being the point of contention, because obviously Katya was like the heart of that season, of season 7, and people were like, ooh, if anyone's gonna win, it's gonna be like a redemption for Katya, which I will argue All Stars 2 was absolutely a redemption for Katya's season,
right?
Even without winning the crown. Ginger was interesting, and I think a lot of people, myself included, felt like, you were just in the top 3 and they didn't crown you. Why do you think a month later you're going to come back and be able to win a crown, right? And there wasn't a lot of time for them to grow or have a platform or any of those kind of things. So I'm interested to see if Butthole can turn it out or not. That sounds bad.
They call that prolapse.
Yeah, if I want to see if Lydia can prolapse here, that is what I'm looking for.
She is pink. So for those that may not remember or didn't watch season 17, what do we know about Lydia and her set of skills going into back-to-back seasons of Drag Race?
So Lydia, in my opinion, is somebody that kind of fits a Georges-esque role, in that she is very clearly somebody that RuPaul has his eye on. She is somebody that is irreverent and has a somewhat punk aesthetic to the kinds of ideas that she comes up with. She is a good costume designer and makes her own costumes, but they are not necessarily things that you would imagine. They're not necessarily the most glamorous in the way that you would imagine, right? So she is somebody that is going to use materials in a way that you didn't think that they would be done, and you may or may not like it. I was one of the few people who actually liked what she put together, as even though I could understand why she was in the bottom, but there were times where I felt like she was fine. She is also kind of infamous for not knowing who the Golden Girls are and having to play Rose in one of the scenes and not doing it well at all. And so I think that the next time she did win and then kind of turned around and lost immediately and left the competition. But the thing that she won for was a roast, and she did really well with it because she kind of got out of her own head.
Including one of the people that we're actually about to talk to that she roasted successfully.
Oh yeah, because this season they brought back they did a roast of people who were like the shady queens, the villains of the past. And Mistress was one of them. And so Lydia had to read her the house down in a roast, as well as the other people in the competition. She did really well. I don't think any of us were really assuming she was going to do well in that particular challenge. We thought maybe she was going to go home, and she turned out a win, and we were all pretty happy for her. Just to kind of turn around, the last thing that we will mention that I think is probably her biggest storyline is that she did end up having a showmance with a different queen, and they are still together today. So I would love to see how her showmance with Corey King, who is the drag sister of Plain Jane from Boston from season 15. If we see any Boston, Plain Jane, Corey King influences in what we see for Lydia. For Lydia's and Butthole's perspective, I hope that that's better than how Plain Jane helped Corey King prepare for season 17. So I'm excited to see how she does. I have a feeling there could be a favoritism moment or two with RuPaul, but she is a pleasure, and she also looks like she's 12 out of drag in the confessional. But don't worry, she's not somebody that the drag queens have recruited at a young age for their agenda.
Well, it's going to be interesting in a group with Lydia and Georges. Sophie's choice for RuPaul to figure out who her favorite is. Well, we mentioned her beforehand, but this person just had Lydia insulting her to her face, probably like 3 weeks before coming out to film All Stars 10. I would say one of the standout characters of season 15. I think especially after a couple of seasons of, to your point, a bit of a RuPaul's Best Friends race vibe to it. Mistress Isabelle Brooks brought the drama and then some.
Mistress Isabelle Brooks, to me, represents a very important aspect of drag that I don't think is as celebrated or as seen on our screens. She is the epitome of a pageant queen, both on and off the stage. Think about how much Alyssa Edwards did not care about how her competitors felt, that she was just going to say what she felt in that moment. We get that with Mistress, except for Mistress doesn't pretend not to be a bitch. Okay. She knows she's won and she's fine with it. She is someone who's hard to get into her head. So you can't really play the mind games. You turn it right back on her. That said, people did get under her skin a little bit in season 15. She is also one of the best painters I've ever seen. Her mug, in my opinion, has a precision that is unrealistic. Like, I feel like it's CGI. I don't know what she's doing. She is an AI image. And apparently when you see her up close, it is as flawless as you see her on television. It is incredible. She has a very iconic mug, one that, you know, a lot of people, if you're not maybe like looking at drag queens all the time, you'd be like, yeah, that's a drag queen face. But like, I also kind of feel like, yeah, that's a drag queen face. Like, we've kind of lost the plot. We've like turned into being beauty influencers. She has a classic drag queen face, but with modern techniques and blending and brushing to make it really stand out. And the same could be said for her drag. Very pageant, very beautiful, also a little outside the box, and also very modern. She's a classic kind of clown of drag, but with a pageant esque kind of a polish and aesthetic. She is somebody that I am so excited to see back. She and Irene were on the same season. And what I loved is that in that first episode, before Irene went home, the two of them were like, knew each other and were being shady to each other. And we're saying like, this is how drag queens really are. So having two people from that season, even though they're not in the same group, being willing to be like, we don't give a fuck what you think at home. We are drag queens and we're going to say what we want. I cannot wait. And seeing her with some of the queens in this group, I don't think that she's going to be mean for no reason. I don't think that that's really her good, but I am excited to see, you know, what era she's going to be in. She's going to be in her pink team era. She's going to be in her, you know, Miss Congeniality era of All Stars. You know, she's going to be in her All Star winner era. So I'm excited to see what she does and what she brings.
All right. Well, we will talk about another Brooks here, though I believe, for once, no relation between the two. But we talked about her a couple times before. She was the last stone in the Infinity Gauntlet of season 2 returning queens. She is the drag mother of Phoenix, all the way from season 2, Nicole Paige Brooks.
I thought you were going to say all the way from Atlanta, Georgia. Nicole Paige Brooks is, I think, a name none of us expected to see on an all-star season. And just because it's been some time, we felt like, I think that there was a lot of people clamoring for people like Jessica Wilde to come back from in season 8, who was like, I think the second to last person from season 2 who hadn't been back. That wasn't Tyra. And I think that a lot of us are really excited to see, like, what is Nicole going to bring? It's been 15 years. When she was on her season, she went home very early. She was kind of seen as a drama queen of some sorts. You know, she had a tongue. She had a lot of people didn't have a lot of faith and didn't really identify with her looks. I think that there's a lot of comments and confessionals from queens like Raven about what she had to bring to the stage and the competition. But what I loved about Nicole is that she was unafraid to say, I am from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm from the South. I'm going to treat you like somebody from the South would. So I don't mind being nice to your face, but honey, if I say, oh baby, oh darling, oh honey, or whatever, that is not a nice thing. And I think she was very overt in saying that. So I'm excited. I think that we do have a good cast of people who are at least going to be willing to bring drama or not shy away from it. So I think that Nicole is going to be one of those people that not only are we going to get a reintroduction, see how her drag is in 2025, 15 years later, 15 years after the mall drag was the thing on national television and people are spending, $30,000 an outfit or whatever. I'm excited to see, not an outfit for a season. I mean, I'm excited to see how she does. I think that, even looking at her promo picture, I'm like, okay, I see that this is definitely an evolution for her. It's a different aesthetic, but I also don't know if it is at the level that we're seeing queens coming into the competition. So I do think that she's going to be seen very much as an underdog and not a threat. I would love it if she totally turned that narrative around.
I believe Nicole, also the oldest contestant this season at 50, still kicking. We shall see if she'll be quite literally kicking in a dance challenge. Let's finish off the pink group with, Beth, we talk about some favoritism. I would say arguably we see the thumb on the scale in a different direction, because how on earth do they put Tina Burner not in the orange group, considering red and yellow were her signature colors on season 13?
I honestly think if Tina Burner stays away from red and orange every single week, the audience and the judges will identify a little bit more with her. I think so. Tina Burner, for those that don't know, is a very legendary New York City drag queen. Was very involved with like the era of Bianca Del Rio when she was in New York before Drag Race, as seen as one of the roasters of the city, those kind of things. I will be honest in that in the roasts and such that I've watched, I always felt like she did a serviceable job, but wasn't like at the Bianca level, right? And when we saw her come for season 13, I kind of got that feeling from her too, that she did a serviceable job, but just wasn't at the level of everybody else going into, the finals and such, right? Towards the end of the season. She's somebody that has acting chops. She's somebody that has comedy chops. I think her camp drag is questionable at times, but in a way that like I also don't care because it's camp. Like I don't know. I kind of just give like, if somebody's going to do camp, yes, I want to see camp done well, but I also am kind of like, I'm just happy to see it because like not everything needs to be high fashion on the runway. But she did kind of turn into the Ronald McDonald of drag, where everything ended up being yellow, red, and orange. Like she was trying to really lean into the burner part of like everything was going to be a fire theme. And I think that was an ideal thing in theory, but not necessarily in execution. I do think that she could do really well here. I don't think she got a lot of favoritism from RuPaul in her season.
No, I remember in particular the Rusical. I think a lot of people felt that she was slighted when she got to do like the whole cabaret role.
Yeah. I just generally think that this is going to be interesting for her to come back and kind of be like, I'm talented. There's a reason why I'm a New York City legend. Let's bring it. So I actually think in a weird way, not having her on the orange team is a service, but I also don't know what level the colors play in anything. Like, when they go on a tribe and Survivor, they are wearing those colors, but like are they expected every week to have that color implemented in whatever the runway is, that could be an interesting thing, right? So I don't know. It would be very interesting. I hope if it's something like that where she has to represent pink in some way, that she is going to show us different colors and different sides of her drag.
All right, well, let's move from the Pink Pony Club of this second group into, I guess we could call it Purple Rain, the final group here.
Rain.
But we're not talking about Acid Rain. We're talking about Acid Betty. This is someone I'm really excited about, Beth, because I feel like for the longest time since her, I would say, pretty shocking elimination in season 8, people have been jockeying to have her back. And finally, we got her.
Acid Betty, in my opinion, is a no-brainer for an all-star season. And I don't know if she's just turned down offers or if it's just taken this long. Because I will say, again, as we're going through this cast, and I guess I didn't think of it until I've been talking with you, this is a season of people who don't hold their tongue. And Acid Betty, there's a reason why they put acid in the name. She will burn like acid with her, what she's got to say. Very infamously having a feud with Trixie Mattel and Untucked, who was in a different season, and then having it come up at the reunion, kind of blowing up in her face a little bit. Acid Betty to me is kind of like, I don't want to say the blueprint, but I mean for Drag Race, kind of the blueprint for the people like Irene, for the people who like Nina Bonita Brown and Lucky Stars from this season, in the sense of like using influences and makeup ideas and going kind of out and almost like a Comic-Con feeling at times, like people who are able to think outside the traditional boxes of what drag should be, quote unquote. So Acid Betty for me not only did that really well in her season, but she also was able to tailor it in a way that the judges really appreciated. So when she did construction challenges, she made things in a way that would be great on the main stage of RuPaul. I think that she is very smart. Was that how she would have done that at home when she's going to go out to the bars and have, or go on tour or whatever? Probably not, but she's somebody that knows, I'm on RuPaul's Drag Race. I need to do things that will be catered for him, even though it is in my own aesthetic. That is something that a lot of queens struggle with, especially on their first season. And since I felt like she did a really good job with that on her first season, I can't wait to see how she comes across now, 9 years later. So it's going to be really incredible. I think that she's fascinating. I loved her drag. I met her at DragCon once. She was so sweet and nice. But at the same time was like, I came up and I'm like, you can't read me because I didn't blend my makeup. And she said, bitch, I'm gonna read you. She's like, here, can I give you a tip? And I was like, yeah, sure. And so she was like, actually, I'm gonna get my blending brush. And she blended something out for me.
It's like a little bit of acid, a little bit of sweetness at the end of like,
exactly.
Listen, your makeup doesn't look great, but I can help you.
But it was really funny. And I felt like I did read her back a little bit. And I was like, that's so nice. And I was like, thank you so much for doing that. She was like, yeah, of course. You got to look your best if you're going to try to stand out next to these queens. And I said, that's so nice you had the time to do that.
All right, well, let us move. I love that. Let's move on to Alyssa Hunter, yet another, some of you have heard this before, season 14 queen. I believe she is the second out of the season. Is that right?
She's either second or third. She was very early in the season, and is somebody that was very quiet, but was also very much the trade of the season out of drag. Everybody was like, oh my gosh, this hot Puerto Rican man. Please, please, please. Alyssa to me is so fascinating. And I think that this promo is exactly what I expected from her in season 14. We had this idea that she was going to be, there's like a lot of regal drama that also is like mixed with this Puerto Rican Latin influence. And what I love with this outfit here and what she's having to offer is that I get this like Maleficent feeling. I get this feeling that she's like, I know what my kingdom is. And she's somebody that I think a lot of people are going to discount coming into the competition, and they shouldn't. Right. I think that she has very, very has an eye for aesthetic and knows how to paint her face. I just think it was pretty much the acting, the speaking, those aspects, but not in like a language issue like we've seen with like other Puerto Rican queens on the show. Hers, I just genuinely was, I don't think that she understands how her tone, like how to not make it maybe as monotone, or how to use her voice and such for comedy, and how to move her body in lip syncing ways. I also think that she's going to be a great lip syncer. So I'm excited to see what she brings. I hope that she turns around any negative expectations people have just because she's an early out queen.
Beth, I have one question for you.
Yeah.
Are you ready to see my cuckoo again? Again?
Again?
Because we are talking about Cynthia Lee Fontaine. So Cynthia Lee Fontaine, I would say like one of the big catchphrase queens of season 8, does not last a long time there, but goes out in a major fashion between the cuckoo, between I'm a strong gay woman, and between, unfortunately, sadly, her getting diagnosed with cancer. Towards the end of season 8, she is voted Miss Congeniality there. I think one of the earliest finishers to be voted Miss Congeniality. So popular, she makes a comeback in season 9. And after that, back-to-back goes away for a little while, but nearly a decade later, she is back in our screens again.
Yes. And also Cynthia, I think, has one of the most important stories about, tragic gay events, where she is also talking on season 9 when she comes back about Pulse.
Right.
And the
shooting. She was there, right? She was working the night.
She was supposed to be working that night. And her friend, Martine, went to the show thinking she was going to be there. And he said, "Where are you?" And she said, "Oh, I couldn't go tonight." And she's like, "I'm so sorry." Or and he was like, "No worries, I'm going to stay. It'll be a cute time." And unfortunately, Martine was one of the victims of the shooting and passed away. And so I think that, we had quite a few people who were talking about Pulse in season 9. Season 9 aired or was filmed in
I filmed in 2016. It must.
Yeah, so it filmed a couple months later, right? And then it aired in 2017 when Pulse was, not even a year old, I guess, at this point. And I was always very struck about something that I found really inspirational with her telling that story, which was, you can tell she has a lot of guilt in that without also letting it. Well, at least the way that she presented it. I can't speak to her. Obviously, I don't know her, but like the way that she presented it was very calm and factual, and was like not trying to bring her emotions into it. Cause I have to imagine it's not her fault, right? We all know that. And there's nothing, that she could have done or anything like that. It's just something that I'm sure haunts her, but the way that she was able to speak through it and be very in the moment, I think was a sobering thing for all of us at home to sit back and realize, like, yeah, there's a randomness to this world and we can have guilt and shame for things, but it's more important to do what she's doing, which is tell their stories, right? Move forward, be unapologetically yourself. She was somebody who at this time would have been finishing up a cancer, journey, essentially. So what a person to be reflecting on life. And so she was, as somebody who was always just so full of life when we see her on screen, and very positive and such. So I'm excited to see her cuckoo and see what she brings to the competition 10 years almost later. And I do think that, she's still a very big face in Florida drag, especially in the Orlando scene. So I know that there's going to be a lot of people rooting for her.
All right. Believe it or not, Beth, we have finally reached our final season 14 queen on the season, but it is a big one. It is Daya Betty. I wonder how many constructed
outfits. More after this.
Oh, no, we did. God damn it. I wonder how many constructed sound bites and constructed outfits that she will bring to All Stars 10.
I'm excited. Daya Betty was like unfairly villainized on her season for being a villain. And I got to say, she's going to fit in so well with this cast. Season 14 did not want her to be shady and tell the truth of what she was feeling and those kind of things, right? And I'm not saying that she did it in a tactful way all the time, and that's why I like drag queens. I love that she was somebody who is Crystal Method's sister or daughter. I don't remember.
I think maybe daughter.
So Daya Betty, in my opinion, had a lot of the really great things that made Crystal Method such a force on the show, right? This interesting.
Besides the hair, Daya Betty, of course, infamously bald.
Daya Betty also diabetic, and that this was her way of making a name out of her diagnosis and conditions and such. But she is somebody that I feel like I really thought she could have been a contender for the crown. I do think that Willow Pill like very much deserved it. I felt like Lady Camden being in the finals really deserved it and such. But Daya Betty going into the finals, because I do think this was the season there was like final 5 instead of like we had gotten to the place where we used to have final 2 and final 3 and then final 4. And this season we got to final 5. And I think that was the last straw for those of us who had like went through a whole month of non-eliminations where we were going, what the hell? Now there's a final 5. But if it meant that keeping Daya Betty in the competition, I'm actually fine with it because she genuinely, to me, has everything to win. And I just think that she was with a cast that couldn't handle her. And I think that she's going to be, even though like half this cast is season 14, I feel like she's going to be in very good company. And I think just generally is somebody who has strong makeup, aesthetic skills, knows how to act, knows how to use her body, but she's also the person that is going to be the like, why not me queen? And I love that energy in a drag competition because I kind of identify with it sometimes.
All right, well, let's go from the fire that she brings to someone who knows their way around the ice. And this is yet another one, I think, alongside people like Acid Betty, who people have been clamoring to have on All Stars for a while. Denali is back among us from season 13.
Yes. And so actually there's one more after this. I don't know if you noticed that.
God damn it.
So Denali, yes, season 13, our ice skating queen. She had one of the best lip syncs in like the first episode. She ends up in the bottom that she's on and does just an incredible job wiping the floor with oh my god, Hall.
Kimora Hall.
Kimora, thank you. Kimora Hall. Denali was, in my opinion, the Jan of season 13, like where she did really, really well and she just never got the glory for it, right? So I have all the expectation that that will be replicated here in season 10 of All Stars, where she'll come in and do awesome, but will just be short every single time.
Well, I remember, like, so one of the things they started off with season 13 was that they brought queens in 2 at a time, forced to lip sync against each other to basically manifest or try to fabricate this rivalry of like the winners versus the losers. And Denali basically only lost because her walk-in outfit was her in ice skates.
Yes.
And they're like, okay, this is what you have to lip sync. And she's like, good. Okay, RIP to my ankles, I guess, my uncle, because I have to do all these tips and tricks while wearing ice skates on the main stage.
And she's so fascinating because, like I said, she is a figure skater. So she does a lot of drag in figure skating, and she does these incredible routines. You can pretty much guess if there is a gay anthem, she has a video of her doing it on the rink. So definitely go ahead and check her out because this is, a unique part of drag that we haven't necessarily seen represented on the show. But she is somebody that is a good lip syncer, a good dancer. She knows how to act. She really has it all. She has a good sense of fashion. So I'm excited to see her. She, to me, is like a true definition of an all-star, of somebody that we've been dying to see come back. And so I'm excited to see how she does this season. Just hope that RuPaul and the judges connect with her somehow.
All right, well, let's finish off, last but certainly not least, with someone who has connected with the judges of RuPaul's Drag Race. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, but is facing her 4th season of Drag Race. Joining a select few, I think, maybe only tied by Jujubee and Eureka, is the glamour toad herself, Ginger Minj.
Finally showing us the glamour part of the glamour toad, I will say. This promo picture, I'm going to put it out there. Her 3rd time on the show. I am an unapologetic Ginger Minj stan. I think that she is genuinely one of the most talented people that has ever been on that show. She should and has, I think, already been on a Broadway or a Broadway level performance circuit. She is somebody that is just that talented. She's an incredible singer. She has multiple albums out. She's an incredible actor. She knows what her face, her body, her tone, everything is doing. She has always kind of fallen flat on the fashion portion, which was always funny to me because she's a pageant queen as well. She comes in season 7 and everybody finds her to be part of the, shady old lady brigade. And they didn't like her because she was like not nice to people like Violet and Pearl, which I wanted to be like, Violet is just fine. Okay, guys, you don't need to come to Violet's aid. Violet has probably one of the bitchiest personalities of anybody, and she owns it, and that's why we like her. She was fine. going up against Ginger, right? So Ginger loses the crown to her. I am one of the people who thinks that Violet should not have won season 7 and that Ginger should have, only purely because season 7 was a season of acting challenges, which Ginger nailed.
Yeah.
And she nailed that final song that they gave her, and she did well. And I think that it just was a time for somebody like Violet to win, right? So they bring her back immediately, like I mentioned before, with All Stars 2, and there's no room for growth in this, and they just didn't crown her. And she goes out really early in the competition, wearing a very interesting space future of drag outfit, which was her trying new things. So I want to give her all the props for that. That said, doesn't do the best there, doesn't really help her cause for anything, but she goes and does these tours. She does the haters roast, she does everything, and people start to fall in love with her again and understand just how much star power she has. She comes back for All Star 6. We're all excited to see her. And then she walked into the workroom with whatever that toad outfit was. And we all were like, oh no, come on, Ginger. She still did really well that entire competition, did make it to the end, but did fall short of getting the crown. This is something that I think is interesting. I think we all love Jujubee, but I don't think anybody has ever argued that Juju deserved the crown in any of the seasons that she was on, to the extent that people have felt like that with Ginger. So while she does have the same kind of record of coming back, I do think that Ginger Minj, maybe this is the season for her to win the crown finally. And if she doesn't win the crown, I think she's got to pull a, Brooklyn Heights and go find a franchise to host or something, because or just make her a permanent third judge or something. Like, I don't know. But or get her behind the camera and do drag like Wintergreen does, like do something, be
God, what a down. All right,
Ginger.
Yeah. Shoulder up a camera that you're on the crew now.
Be like, okay, you and Wintergreen, baby, let's go. I just think that, this is, if she treats this like the victory lap it is for her, then she's going to have fun and it'll be fine. But I also kind of wish we see a little bit shadier side of her, because she was really nice in season 6. She was really, trying to redeem herself in All Stars 2, coming right off of the season where she was vilified. I would love to see her just go back, and especially with some of these other queens who come from that kind of, drag aesthetic and environment. I want her to do the same thing here, and I think that'll actually really help her competition jobs.
Beth, you have laid the runway incredibly well for us to remember all of these famous faces as they will glance upon our screens once more on Paramount Plus on May 9th. And I know that you will certainly be along for the ride, covering it in every step of the way, however it's going to go. So what do you want to plug in terms of coverage for the listeners out there of Drag Race?
Yeah, so Amon and myself are definitely going to be covering All Stars 10. We will typically record it a couple of days after it airs, so you can expect to get that into your feeds on Sundays or Mondays. The episodes do air on Fridays because it's on Paramount Plus, and All Stars is different from the regular seasons. You actually have access to it in the middle of the night, going into Friday morning. So it's one of those things that if you want to avoid spoilers, please avoid social media all day Friday until you have a chance to watch it, because there are going to be people who watch it at 3 a.m. when it comes out and be able to just say everything that happens, as I have learned. So keep that in mind. But you can catch our coverage a couple days later. We are hoping that Liana will be able to join us, but as many of you know, Liana is in the process of moving, so this was just a little bit too much to add to her plate with everything going on. So hopefully we'll get her from time to time, and hopefully we'll line up some guests as well. You can also catch me. I did the BB17 retrospective look with Taryn last night, so go ahead and go to that RHAP We Know Reality TV YouTube channel and go to the live tab to view that if you would like. Taryn and I had every intention of going in there and making it an 1.5 to 2 hour episode tops, and it came out closer to 2.5. It's just a good season. What can we say? So please, you can check us out there. You can follow me at AugustaWind11 on Instagram, or on Blue Sky at Beth-Dixon.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Beth, for giving us all the tea and then some to get into this season. I personally cannot wait. Let us know your thoughts out there in the comments. Who are you most excited by? Who's your winner pick? How do you think this season is going to run? Do you like this format? Let your thoughts be known. And of course, as always, if you have any piece of reality TV news out there that you want me to cover here on the Reality Flash, No spam, no solicitations, just tips at therealityflash.com. This is
Mike, it's never just the tips.
Exactly. No, listen, as much as girth and length is a matter of opinion here, though they often get tucked away. Don't you tuck away your suggestions, people. Just tips at therealityflash.com. And make sure you're subscribed to the podcast at therealityflash.com. Anywhere that you can find it, subs and reviews are incredibly, incredibly appreciated as we look ahead to much more reality TV stuff to come. That's going to do it for this edition of The Reality Flash. I'll be back in your eyes and ears soon with more breaking news from the wild world of reality TV as it happens. But until next time, everybody, you've just been flashed.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here, wishing you a very happy half-off holiday, because right now Mint Mobile is offering you the gift of 50% off unlimited. To be clear, that's half price, not half the service. And Mint is still premium unlimited wireless for a great price. So that means a half day, yeah? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.